My name is Joe, and I guess my project overall is Polkadot, but specifically I lead the system Parachain team. I think 2022 is what maybe in sports people would call a building year. So I guess like the most impressive one would be the I'll give two. One would be the the addition of stablecoins to Statement and StateMine. So we had USDT launch earlier this year on both StateMine and StateMint. We made those assets sufficient, and we've also had some XCM interaction with other chains and have had some the groundwork for a lot of future possibility of what we can do with those assets. And we also had Circle confirm that USDC will be coming probably in Q1 or Q2 of next year. So that's coming soon. And then the other one is the launch of the collectives parachain on Polkadot, which is going to have the Polkadot Alliance as the first collective, but we already have a lot more collectives that we're lining up to actually launch on that chain. So a lot of stuff to come there, and I think we have a couple more chains in the works in the next few months as well. So I think we're kind of on the edge of releasing a bunch of stuff. So Weights v2, XCM v3, Governance v2. None of these are directly from my team in system parachains, but they all set a lot of standards that we need in order to make system parachains successful. So it was just over a year ago, I think October of last year, that XCM v0 came out on Kusama, and we're already at v3. And the nice thing about this is we've had, we went through v0, v1, v2, and we've actually seen how this gets used in the real world. And with v3, we've been able to add the features that are needed for a lot of the cross-chain interactions that people desire, and also had it fully audited. So it should be a lot safer and more secure than the previous XCM versions. And so the kind of downside of that is that when you go from 0 to 1 to 2 to 3 in the span of 1 year, it's a lot of breaking changes, and it's hard to build sustainable applications on top of that. But the nice thing is that we have all this knowledge that has gone into a lot of these abstractions, and so we're a lot more confident that this can be a lot more stable going forward. So that's maybe the technical innovation. And then on more of a structural innovation, if you will, we had probably a year ago, November of 2021 was when we kind of first came up with the idea that there should be a team at Web3 or Parity that's focused on developing system chains and moving logic from the relay chain into parachains. So bridges, auctions, crowd loans, even dot balances and assets. And of course, at that time, it was just an idea. We said this team should exist, but of course you have to actually build it. So it kind of started out as me and one other person in January. And I think the first 6 months of the year, most of my time was just spent interviewing and reviewing CVs and trying to come up with a release process for parachains. Because we have a release process for the Polkadot relay chain runtime and client, but then we have to release a bunch of parachain runtimes and Cumulus client and all of these other things that go along with it. And when we start talking about having 10 system parachains, you have to release 10 runtimes at the same time. It's a big operation, and it's not really scalable to do them one at a time. And so we spent probably the first 6 months of the year interviewing and hiring. And then I think we have a team with 7 or 8 people now, and then getting them really ramped up and productive, and having a good release process so that when we release the Polkadot relay chain, we can also release updates to all of these system parachains at the same time. So I think a lot of the innovation is stuff that you don't really see from the outside, but we've basically set up the operations, whether it's technical stuff like XCM and weights, to be future-proof against all of the security and multi-chain needs that we see as foundational to building multi-chain applications, but also the organizational structure to be able to support releasing, not just a Polkadot relay chain runtime, but the runtimes of 10 different system parachains in parallel. So Yeah, you don't really see a lot of that from the outside, but I think it's kind of laid the foundation for a lot of stuff that we can build on and be more responsive to the ecosystem in the coming years. Yeah, so we have a lot of stuff planned. So we have statement. I wrote up a blog post, or I guess a forum post on the statement roadmap. So this includes support for Parachain assets, bridged assets, a decentralized exchange, a new version of NFTs in Substrate. So we have this new NFT palette that is really powerful, and it supports tons of stuff like soulbound NFTs and smart attributes and some really cool stuff. And then we just launched this collectives Parachain. So there's an open governance motion on Polkadot right now, or a referendum about initializing this Polkadot alliance. So we've seen a bunch of teams like Kilt, Akala, Moonbeam, I think Interlay, and I know I'm forgetting a couple more, but like they kind of came together for this initiative of the Polkadot alliance. We want to move a few more collectives on chain. So like the Polkadot ambassador program, that's kind of like managed by Web3 Foundation now. We want to kind of pull out Web3 Foundation as being like the administrators of that program and have it all managed on chain by the members, like kind of like the senior ambassadors in that program. We just released the first runtime for the Kusama Bridge Hub. So this will be the parachain that serves as a bridge to both, to both Polkadot Kusama and also between Kusama Ethereum, and then when it's on Polkadot, between Polkadot and Ethereum. And we're talking to some other teams about putting other bridges to other networks in that. So those are the main things. And then I think we'd also like to actually like display some of how we use like these multi-chain things. So we've had some issues of like, well, how do we, for example, how do we put the ambassador program on chain? Because we don't just want like a collective of account IDs. We might want some like metadata about them as well, like what region are they in, or like what kind of things are they a steward of? Like, do they do a lot of like events, like in-person events and organizing, or do they do more like content creation, like YouTube videos or blog posts and stuff like that? And it's not very generalizable. You don't want to make like a new collective palette for all the special things where it's like, for the fellowship, it might be like their GitHub information, and for the ambassador program, it might be like, do they do events or content? And so we're kind of coming up with these ideas of like, well, we have these features on statements, like with these new like smart attributes on NFTs, and we have this like just generic collectives idea that is on the collectives parachain. Well, we could do the collectives, we could do like the ambassador program as the collective on the collectives parachain, but then they could have like a soulbound NFT on statement, and it could actually say that like the attributes are editable by the collective as like as a unit body, as like the collective would have an origin. So that way the collective, not the individual, can actually update attributes about this like user's membership badge and say that like they're a member of this region or they work on these types of projects. And so I think we want to like demonstrate how people can actually use this multi-chain architecture to build applications. Because a lot of people, we have all of these, I still get questions from people who come to Polkadot and say like, I want to build an application on Polkadot, which parachain should I build it on? And it's kind of like, what do you mean? Like, you have all these parachains available, why would you just pick one, right? And I think a lot of people don't have the mindset of like, how am I supposed to build on this multi-chain architecture? Just like when multi-threaded CPUs came out, application developers didn't know how to take advantage of multi-threading, and that was a pattern that had to emerge from like programming languages and tutorials, and for people to actually learn to develop applications that way. And so I think we want to start to show people, you don't have to build everything in one chain. We have all of these chains available, and here's some examples of how you can actually use all of these chains at the same time, and you don't need to pick one just because it has most of the features that you want. You can get everything by using all of the chains that are available.